of that group?
No, not from the physical stance. I can from what I've seen, meetings, drill work, the skill sets, that part to go, any potential new wrinkles that we wanted to do, how would we feature guys. But as far as the physical part, you can't. What I can say is on both sides, we've really made an emphasis for them on the strength and conditioning and really putting it into those spaces. Even so much in the early part of the offseason, they trained together. So it was sometimes you'd see an offense will go at this time and defense will go at that time. We had some of the big guys training together to really push it together. So we enjoyed that too.
And you guys seem really loaded on the interior, especially. Do you value interior pressure more than pressure from the edge, or?
No, I would say some of it, Nikki, on defensively specifically, is we'll find some roles as it goes to early down run player to more of a pass rusher and who would do all the downs, like somebody like Daron, first down, second down, third, all of them. But there will also be some specific spots for emphasis on the pass or emphasis onto the run. And so that's what I'll look forward to doing through the preseason. We'll get a couple practices against other teams. And those practices help too, because as coaches, we can kind of, hey, let's really emphasize something, and then we'll do that and find some matchups and do that. So those are helpful too, which you don't get during the game.
I know everyone always wants to get better, but how much of a jump or progress can a guy like Daron make in going into year 8?
It's funny that you brought him up, but I walked past him today. I said, man, you've had a remarkable offseason. And I felt that way through the drill work, through the skill. And everyone, you just see something that jumps out differently, that's onto a new space. And I felt that from him coming into this offseason. And I've certainly been impressed by what I've seen so far. In fact, it was like literally today that I said, man, I've really been impressed by the work that you've put in this offseason. And I see it, happening out on the field.
A vet like Debo and a rookie, or not a rookie anymore, but a young guy like Mikey, they're working together after practice?
I think it probably speaks to like the environment that the players have created together. We all know, to be at our best, it's going to take all of us improving. And if that's Mikey asking Debo a certain technique or vice versa, that's really where it takes place. And so we take these times on the field seriously, because it's not just the scheme, it's the individual skill work. If I can help isolate a specific route or a specific release, or Mike in that instance of playing a certain coverage technique, it's one thing to know it on paper, or another thing to be in the classroom. If we were all here together watching it on video, like we'd have an understanding of what a press technique, what a press corner is. But until you do it, and what can I do? Where's my hands? How do I have to be placed exactly, and be very specific? I think that's where the gold is. And that's why I think like the teaching this time of year has to shine on the coaches. And we've got some excellent ones, because they'll get very specific on the certain techniques. Let's try that one again. Let's put the hand into this space. You're not in a rush to get to the next play, or, you see, you guys are all here in season. There's jersey numbers on people, and okay, what are we going to do with this person here? There's none of that now, and it's just on the skill. And so they're teaching, if they have to do it 4 or 5 times, that's okay, because let's try that one again. Joe was working recently with just maybe 3 safeties or 2 safeties and 1 backer on press technique against a tight end. How do you do it? He's in line, and I thought that's a great isolation of just a few people on a specific skill. And if you magnify that by the whole group, then there's all these little pockets of things of skill development that's happening that's really important. And this is that time. And we learn a lot from the NBA of what that small group would look like, of a specific 2 or 3 players getting better on something. And so we work really hard at that specific thing, the work-ons.
Hey, Dan, just to stay on the Daron Payne topic, obviously every year you want there to be a level of urgency for all your guys, but for him at this point in his career, how important do you think this season is?
Like you said, that they're all big. I just sense there's a space when you can feel it. It's not something that we spoke about to go. Sometimes a marker happens and there's an urgent space to go, and you want to jump into that space. Maybe it was where we think we can get to. You don't know what's different for him. It might be different from yours to Sam's to Nikki's, but once that fire's lit, man, you want to hit it. And I've really sensed that from him, the questions, the understanding of the defense, how good a shape he's in. So he's off to an excellent start.
And to stay on the line with Johnny Newton, he obviously had a full offseason this time
Yes.
as opposed to last year. How have you seen that impact him coming into this?
Yeah, probably the strength, I would say, Ben, because he wasn't probably able to do all the typical strength movements and that he had due to the foot injuries. But I feel like his leg strength and that explosiveness, that's probably what I see the most, the twitch. He's always been a quick person, but now with all the power that goes with it, I do see an uptick in that.
Noah Brown told us after practice today he's feeling back to normal after that. Sounded like a scary, unusual injury last
Yes.
year. How has he bounced back?
Yeah, he's a really, really tough competitor, and we really missed Noah in some spaces. I'm not, quote me exactly, but there was a lot of PIs against Noah. He's got such a unique ability to go up and contested plays and catches, and so there were 2 plays back to back of yesterday's practice of Noah and Noah competing against. You saw the length, and I loved seeing those small matchups on one catch of guys working their skills together. But the fact that we can put Noah in a lot of spots, and he's really, really dependable. So probably the thing that most everybody doesn't know is like this is an elite competitor. And so he's got you would think it's a quiet demeanor, but it's a focused one.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
I know every player obviously has to deal with injuries and being banged up at some point in time, but with Quan kind of playing through the 2 shoulder injuries, kind of what did that teach you about him last year?
Yeah, I knew, obviously, like you guys saw, we limited some in practice, but there was no chance like that he was missing. He is that competitor in that way. So going into the off season after the procedures, we were just not going to miss one step of his healing of that, all the way through. And so he's making great progress on that. But I knew he was a pretty rare competitor. Then you find out like, man, this guy is even tougher than you think. To have them both done at the same time, they were a few weeks apart, but you can imagine some of the challenges that go along with that when you have, 2 shoulders in the off season that you're not able to use at the same time. So I'll leave that space blank there, and everybody can fill that in.
And then
a lot of love from
Coach Witt spoke pretty highly about where he thinks Quan's ceiling. That's the word we like to use, right? Kind of get your thoughts on Quan's ceiling as well.
Yeah, the physical attributes we've always seen. It probably has, if not the highest vertical, but that type of explosiveness, the speed, how he can burst, and so I thought moving from nickel to safety allowed some of that natural, playmaking ability to track, to come off the red line, and to use some of that speed from the safety spot. He's certainly fast enough to play nickel, but I felt like that was the right call to move him into that spot. And so once I think he found his home there and all the unique, skills that he has to go. And so I think, like, man, he's going like this. Now I have a whole season under his belt of playing safety. And now, like, I think he's really going to take off. It's the speed and the hitting ability, and you can win with that.
We got to talk to Harris and Wise, and these are veteran players that just came here this offseason, and they both said the culture and the brotherhood is the reason why. What is it you guys do to get veteran players to kind of buy into that stuff right away?
I think first that's you give credit to Adam and his staff. They have such a unique understanding of what the team needs, too. And we had said way back, hey, this isn't for everybody, but for the people that are so much about one another and getting better and doing those things, like, those are important things to us. Like, one of the main things for the players starting off to be here, like, can you be an awesome teammate, like top of the pile? Then it gets into, like, your role, what that can mean, how good can you get at these specific things, and then, we go from there. But it has to be, man, like, being a great teammate first. And so, like, yeah, no shit, Dan, like, that's important for everybody. But how do you live that? And how do you demonstrate that? And how do you show that to one another? Because not everybody's outspoken or, not like giving each other greeting cards every day. But there's spaces that you fill in that you're helping one another, see how good you can get. And that, to me, is all part of it. I never wanted to be like having a good time and working your ass off to be in opposition of one another. Like, I wanted those two things to happen simultaneously, like having a great time, and we were like absolutely emptying it out to go work hard. And so when I see practices like yesterday, like today, you probably didn't see as much of the speed. We had so much more in the red zone, but like yesterday, it was speed, man. It was the Ashburn relays. We wanted to see how fast we could go without the contact, without that, but how fast we could go. And you push each other to do that. You know, if you were running the route and I'm keeping up, like, we are pushing each other, not in a combative way, but definitely in a competitive way. And I do think the players here have created that. Like, man, they do enjoy it. There's a good vibe that we have, but like, we also put it in. And if you don't, you'll get exposed pretty quickly, because the tempo of which we want to practice at is high. So like, if you don't put in the work, it'll look rough for you.
Great answer. Thank you.
We got time for two more.
Go ahead. I just wanted a scheduling thing. We've now heard from the Patriots and the Ravens are expecting joint practices to go with the preseason game. Have you locked those dates in?
Yep.
Is that stuff coming out? Are the guys all aware?
Sean, is that? But yeah, we're going to practice with New England with a game up there, and we're going to practice with Baltimore with a game here.
With bringing in Harris and then Trey, how much can that enhance what you guys want to do coverage-wise in the secondary?
Well, I think, number one, Joe and Jason and Tommy William, like, of new players, what do they do, where we're at. And so Will's got a unique background, John, because of his experience at corner. And so what does that look like to leave him outside at corner where it's a safety spot and you can play some different techniques? Can he play over a slot? So the fact that he's done those jobs in the NFL, that's a big deal. Think of in your mind, like, this offensive lineman has started at center and guard in the NFL. Okay, now I know it. That has more value. It can do different things. And so we're still working that through with Will, guarding this person, matching up on the receivers. Where do we put him in the middle? What does he look like in the space? So it'll be ongoing through camp as well, but then we'll get into the roles. But we're not there yet. I would say it's still like the exploring of what, you know, somebody can do.
And then with the defensive line, stopping the run, and what things weren't happening last year that you feel pretty good about with this new group that can?
I don't know if I wouldn't say wouldn't happening, but I love the versatility of the different, you know, guys and how we're going to feature them this year in terms of sizes and strength and how we'll use some of the big guys and how we'll play them. And so, you know, that to me is, you know, the part that I'm looking forward to, putting those guys into those spots that they can really do their thing. And we're going to work really hard to do that. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.